Hello, I'm Peggy O'Neill, and welcome to today's live learning, where we're going to explore the role of language in a relationship that's not going well. The role of language in a relationship that's not going well. And what you're going to have a better understanding after we talk today about how your language influences how the relationship is going, the conversations that you have with them, and how all of that influences the possible future between you and that person. And by language today, I mean both what we're thinking as well as what we're speaking, or it could be writing as well. So if you're here in person, live, please say hi in the chat. I love knowing that you're here. If you have comments, hey Sharon, so good to see you today. Know you're here anyway. If and anybody else here, please say hi. If you're watching this on replay, please put in hashtag replay. If you have any comments or questions at any time, please put them in the chat and I will come back to you whether you're watching this on replay or you're live with us today. Okay, so and I don't know if I said this, but anyway, I'm Peggy O'Neill, and what we do here on these lives is explore who we truly are, which is the one being. We share our being with everyone and everything, and then how do we live in alignment with that? And so today we're exploring some, what one could say are the really practical elements of knowing who we truly are. Okay, so what I'm going to first explain is, let's see, I'm going to hope you can see this. Let me get myself, there you go. All right, so so we can say that we're an observer in life and a body mind. So this body mind is observing. Body mind is observing. So some people just say we're an observer. I like to say we're a body mind. But we can put them together and say, this body mind is observing, engaging with the world consistently with how it sees the world. Okay? And so that's going to determine the actions and the conversations that this body mind or I can have, you can have, and then that's going to determine how the relationship is, or what we're talking about today, how our language specifically influences what's possible and not possible in our relationships. All right, and then what all influences this body mind? So of course our understanding of the nature of reality, who we truly are, is highly influential. And then sorry, this is not mirrored, so it's awkward. So then, so one model that we can look at for what influences our ability to take action and have certain conversations is our language, our emotions, and our body. Our language, emotions, and body are always influencing this body mind, sorry, again, it's not mirrored, here we go. These are influencing each other all the time. So what I'm noticing in my thoughts, what I'm saying, how I'm feeling, how my body is, like is it stressed, is it relaxed, is it open, all of this is influencing. So how I observe, how my body mind is currently conditioned, and all of that influences what language I could speak. And I don't mean like a foreign language, but what I say, what I think, and then the thoughts that come to me and what I say, and then that influences emotions and body, and all this just keeps influencing each other. Okay, so let's say we're in a relationship, and it's not going as well as we'd really like for it to go. So what we can do is of course look at our actions and conversations, but we're going to back that up. What comes before all of that? All of this is going to influence what's possible here. All right, so let's go into this more deeply. So our behavior is determined by how we observe a situation, and how we're going to observe a situation, or how our body mind is based on all of our conditioning our whole life. So nobody's ever doing anything wrong. It's just our conditioning, but what we're doing is becoming aware of that conditioning so that we can have new possibilities. And so whatever our conditioning is, whatever the state is of this observer or this body mind, is going to determine the perspective that we're able to have, and that's going to determine how we're able to respond and engage, and then how the relationship is going to be. So the way we observe, and as I said, and how we perceive anything influences our language, emotions, and body, and vice versa. So we can have a quick change of song, like somebody could say something to us, kind of catch us off guard. We go, oh, so that influences right then. Our some thoughts are going to come to us, emotions are going to shift for a few seconds, and our body's going to feel that jarring thing. But then that can be fleeting, can just go away. But it can also reveal long-term patterns. So sometimes then somebody will say something that's kind of jarring, and then all our conditioning and patterns start showing up, and then all of that's going to determine what's available for me to say, to do with this person that's in front of me. So, and we also want to know that when our language changes, and it changes naturally when we start observing ourselves and the world and relationships in different ways, and our emotions change, that also happens naturally. Our bodies change, that happens naturally. Then as that all is changing, then we can perceive and relate to the world and others differently. So today we're focusing on language specifically, which shows up in the form of thinking and speaking, or thoughts that come to us and what we say. So most of the time we're paying attention without realizing it, unless you've been working with us for a while. So that we tend to pay attention to our thoughts about ourselves and our thoughts about other people, and we automatically believe them because we've been conditioned to believe whatever our thoughts say about us and say about other people are the truth. They're reality. We should pay attention to them. That's not true. That's how most of us have been conditioned to believe, and then we identify with them. Even if we're identifying with a thought about another person, it's keeping that relationship in the way I understand it intact. Okay? Now, we don't have to believe the thoughts about ourselves and other people, but most of us automatically do. After today, I encourage you to not believe the thoughts that you have about yourself or other people, and to explore them in alignment with what we're talking about today. So, and if you're still believing them or catch yourself believing them, that's fine too. You can't do anything wrong, but you'll find yourself less and less attached to those thoughts as reality as you just do what I encourage you to do today, as you notice the influence that language has on relationships and the impact that you might not want. So I'm going to encourage you right now to bring to mind, well, let me see if there are any questions so far. Let's see. No questions. All right. So bring to mind, so we're going to work through this together. So I encourage you to bring to mind a current relationship that's not going as well as you'd like it to. So just bring to mind somebody. All right. And now notice what thoughts that you have about the person. What thoughts come to you as you're focused on this person? Thoughts are going to be interpretations you have about them. So for example, oh, they're a great person, or they're lazy, or they're loving, or they're distant, or they don't have their act together, or gosh, they're so inspiring, or I don't understand them, or I'm angry with them. Any of those thoughts that you have about that person. If you want to, you can write a couple of them down, but just notice. So all those thoughts about the person are interpretations of the person. The person is just doing whatever they're doing, but our thoughts add a layer of interpretation to whatever it is they're doing. So we can notice those thoughts appearing in what they tell us about the person. I mean, from our perspective in this moment in time. Now, how do those thoughts influence how you are with them? So think about it for a minute. Yeah, if I think that they're lazy, especially if I'm a manager, then how do you think those thoughts are going to influence how I am with the person? How my next conversation is going to be with them, what I'm going to ask them to do, what I'm not going to ask them to do, what I'm going to talk to them about, not talk to them about. And then how does that influence our emotions? And of course then our actions and conversations. So you can think about, yeah, what are the thoughts that are coming to me about that person. They're the conditioned thoughts that we're used to paying attention to about that person. And then how does that influence how you are with them? So just ponder that for a few seconds. Take down any notes that you have. Right, and then just for a second, kind of put yourself in their shoes, and what do you think that they think about you or how they see you? And then whatever it is you think they think about you, how do you think that might influence how they relate to you? So I hope that made sense. So now you're going to put yourself in that other person's shoes, and what do you think, you're going to just guess, that they think about you or how they see you, and how do you think that influences how they relate to you? And you can probably tell by some things they've said to you about you. You know, like, "Guy, you're really smart," or "Gosh, you and I are not understanding. We're not on the same page about this." So you can just think about what they've said, and that's going to give you some clues. And then whatever it is that you think, because at some level you already knew this, what came to you just now. So how is it, whatever you think they think about you that you knew, how does that impact how you relate to them? So let's say, for example, I really admire somebody and they're with me, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, they're so much better than I am, smarter, they're ahead of me, they're more competent, they know so much more, and so they probably see me. I'm thinking, I'm sure they see me as not quite where they are, I'm not at their level. And then how's that going to impact how I relate to them? Well, I'm probably going to think, gosh, I better hold back, or I better be careful what I say. I better really think through what I'm going to say before I talk to them, so I make sure I'm saying it just right. So how do you think that what you think they think about you influences and impacts how you relate to them? I hope that makes sense, so I will see if there are any questions about that particular one. Okay, I don't see any. All right. So now, given all of this, the thoughts that you're paying attention to about them, the thoughts you think they're paying attention to about you, or your interpretations — I'm using thoughts and interpretations interchangeably because that's what they are — then how that influences how you are with them, how they are with you. And so now that you've looked at all of that, what do you believe is possible in the relationship with all of that thought conditioning playing out? What's possible or not possible? And remember, we started with that this is a relationship that's not quite where you'd like it to be. So how does all of that impact what's possible? And then, so what do you think is possible? And now, how are all of these beliefs, because that's what they are too, they're thoughts, they're beliefs, they're interpretations, they're not the truth, our conditioning informs which thoughts we're paying attention to. So how are these beliefs, these thoughts, these interpretations determining what and how you can speak with each other, what you can speak with each other about, and then how you speak? So the example I use that I think, oh, somebody's really ahead of me in this subject matter, then how I speak, again, I mentioned it a little bit, but I might be real reserved, hold back before I talk, might not say much, might try to really bone up on a subject before I talk to them. So how are these thoughts that you're paying attention to determining what and how you can speak with each other? I might hold myself back emotionally. I've got to protect myself because I'm worried what they're thinking. So how well are all of those thoughts, interpretations, beliefs that you've been looking at serving you to take the relationship forward? So what's opening? So, well, back to, I'll use my example. How well are they? Well, obviously they're holding me back. I don't feel free to talk to that person and relax with that person. And so the relationship's going to be held back by that, my tentative way of being with them, my holding back, my not being willing to make a mistake, trying not to make a mistake. So I'm not going to learn in that relationship either. I'm not going to grow. I'm going to be pretty stagnant, and the relationship's going to be pretty dull and uninteresting. And as I'm saying all that, that's pretty interesting, isn't it? I didn't plan out a script on this, and so, but I'm realizing, oh yeah, because I've noticed that pattern with people that I think are really ahead of me around the subject matter, and so now it's coming to me exactly how that does play out in those relationships. So let's see what's coming to you. Okay, Sharon, great. Let's see. If I respond to them based on these thoughts, it isn't going to be an open exchange. Okay, I appreciate you telling us what you're seeing, Sharon, and the honesty that you always bring to your sharing. Appreciate that. And then I guess, they don't serve you. I need to put those aside and actually see this person as if there is no history between us. Oh, that is so powerful, Sharon. So powerful. And I know you're typing this and responding to the way I'm asking these questions, but as we know, it's more like that we put them aside by not paying attention to them. 'Cause thoughts are going to appear. They just appear out of nowhere. And so, but what we can do is notice them and then recognize everything we're talking about today and realize, oh, I'm not going to pay attention to that thought. And then exactly what you said so beautifully, Sharon, is then we give that person the opportunity to just be them. Because otherwise it's tainted by all of our beliefs, our interpretations, and how we think we need to show up and what they think we think's going on with them. But to see them as if there's no history, yes. In fact, I'm so glad you said that. I hadn't thought of that for today. But that is where we really want to be in all of our relationships all the time. Imagine what a gift that is to the other person, that we're not bringing all this history to them today. And none of us is the same person we were an hour ago. None of us. Our bodies have aged another hour. Cells have been lost. Some new ones have grown. We've had an hour's worth of another experience, seen the news, talked to somebody, and a mood came over us. We are not the same people. So to really be with ourselves and other people as if, just like you said, no history between us, what freedom for them, for us. Beautiful. Beautiful. So that's what I have for today. Anything else, Sharon? Are there any questions? Anything that didn't make sense? Would that be a question, right? Anything you want explained better? Or seems like you really got it today, so I don't think so. Yeah, and then what discoveries can be made? Oh, I just got chills, Sharon. Yeah, what's when we can just really be with somebody without paying attention to all that history, then it can be exciting and alive, magical, like we are when we're really young toddlers, before we've latched onto this identity of who we think we are and who we think other people are. That it's just pure discovery and delight all the time. Well, not all the time. Yes, toddlers do cry, but then they get over it really fast, right? So it's because of that, what Sharon just said. It's because now I'm not relying on my history. I'm not bringing the history. I'm in the moment so much. Yeah, somebody might have yelled at me or something, but then I cry. It's over. There's no history. I just move on when I'm a toddler, and so then every moment's actually new, which it is, but now we're not filling it with history. And we can just be in discovery all the time. All right, so thank you for being with us today, either in person or on the replay. Let's see, Sharon, I'm actually going to be with the person I'm thinking of, and I intend to do this very thing when I'm with her. Oh, that's great. That's great. So glad that something opened up for you and is now possible that wasn't before, or I'm guessing wasn't before. So that's very exciting. Thank you for letting me know, Sharon. And I do want to let everybody know that a week from today at 11:30 Central, I am hosting a complimentary workshop that supports us in being free to be who we truly are. I've posted a time or two about that workshop. I will post again tomorrow an event invitation about it. So I hope you'll join us in where we explore other aspects of what it is to live as who we truly are, and then have the relationships like we're talking about today, the freedom that Sharon has helped us um, um, helped us illuminate and recognize and realize it's possible. All right. Thank you. See you next time.